Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics. First, the highlights. Supreme Court dismisses PDP suits challenging alleged double nomination of Vice President-elect Kashim Shettima. Federal government restricts movement around Eagle Square, Abuja and other parts ahead of Inauguration Day. A newly appointed caretaker chairman of Karasuwa local government area in Yobe State dies less than 24 hours to official swearing in. Thanks for joining us. I'm Millicent Walker in Lagos. We begin with the ruling many had anticipated to come from the highest court in the country on the issue of alleged double nomination of Senator Kashim Shettima, Vice President-elect for the 2023 general elections. Today, the Supreme Court dismissed the suit filed by the People's Democratic Party, PDP, challenging the matter for lacking in merit. Justice Adamu Jaro, who read the judgment, added that the PDP acted as a meddlesome interloper and a busybody, as it is an internal affair of the All Progressives Congress. The court also awarded the sum of 2 million naira against the PDP. The court held that the vice president-elect withdrew his nomination for the Senate before accepting the position of the vice president, and there are documents to attest to that. The justice further held that the attitude of the appellant, the PDP, amounts to misleading the court, describing it as sad. He says, quote, Shettima withdrew his Senate nomination on the 6th of July 2022 and was subsequently replaced. At this point, he was no longer a candidate for the Senate, and his position of vice president is not a multiple nomination. On the case of Uchenwosu, which the PDP relied on, the Supreme Court Justice reminded them that they made the decision at the time and are fully aware of the details. Uchenwosu, in the case, they said, got nominated by two political parties for different positions, and they held that the suit of the PDP was bound to fail right from the trial court to the Court of Appeal and to the Supreme Court. We'll bring you more on that ruling. In the meantime, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukayode Ariwola, is asking newly sworn-in additional members of the Election Petition Tribunal to maintain the integrity and tenets of the profession which it is known for. He also thanks them to always strike a balance between justice and the rule of law as they embark on the assignment. The CJN reminds them that blackmails will arise, but they should rise above it and justify the confidence imposed on them. 39 judges drawn from the state's high court across the country.
The onus is on you to keep aloft the banner of honesty and integrity that the judiciary has painstakingly hosted over the years. Your appointment to serve in these tribunals is well conceived. Thus, you should do everything within your ability to justify this confidence. There is no doubt that you will be exposed to different forms of temptations and even blackmails. But you should know that all are aimed at testing your strength of character, honesty, and integrity. My candid advice is that in whatever circumstance, you should always be mindful of this oath you have just taken, because it now stands as an uncompromising witness between you and your Creator. It behoves you to willingly submit yourselves to the sanctity of the rule of law and supremacy of the Constitution in the discharge of your judicial functions. It is the general belief that elections held when the rule of law is too fragile seldom lead to lasting democratic governance. You are enjoined to always strike a balance between justice and rule of law as you embark on this critical national assignment. As you all know, rule of law delay is lasting peace denied, because justice is a handmaiden of true peace.
Let's take you back to our top story on the Supreme Court dismissing the PDP suit challenging the alleged double nomination of Senator Kashim Shettima. We hear from some of the counsels right after that ruling.
Since July. The Supreme Court has spoken very, very loudly. I think the significance of it is not so much for the judgment, which we ordinarily expected, considering that we believe from the point that this was a frivolous suit. And we have confirmed that with the High Court, the Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court has affirmed that we are right. And the case has gone through the 3 layers of courts. On notification, the Supreme Court has ruled in favor of the respondents.
The Supreme Court, as I told you before, we can't appeal to God. We will stop here. We are bound by that.
We move on away from the tribunal and to inauguration activities, which are still in top gear. As today, there's expected to be a public lecture and Jumat prayer at the National Mosque. And staying with the plans, the federal government has directed the restriction of movement around the Eagle Square venue of the inauguration parade from 2 p.m. on Friday, that's today, till Tuesday. The government, in a circular issued by Ngozi Onwudiwe, a permanent secretary at the head of the civil service, said the federal secretariat complexes and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will be cordoned off by security operatives ahead of the ceremony. President-elect Bola Tinubu and his vice, Kashim Shettima, will be sworn in on May 29th. In the past few weeks, different branches of the military have been conducting drills ahead of the inauguration ceremony. It's therefore in line with the security arrangements for the event. The Federal Secretariat complexes and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs cordoned off by security operatives, with officers intending visitors to the affected areas will not be allowed access until Tuesday, the 30th of May 2023, when work will resume in earnest. And staying with that, the Nigeria police, on its part, says it's deployed personnel to protect the presidential villa, provide security at all of the nation's borders, the seaports and also the airports. The force's public relations officer, Olimuyiwa Adejobi, in a statement says operatives will equally be deployed to the entry and exit points of the capital, Abuja, and other critical government installations. According to him, the personnel are drawn from special forces, namely the Police Mobile Force, Counter-Terrorism Unit, Special Protection Unit, the Anti-Bomb Squad, FIB Intelligence Response Team, Special Tactical Squad, and many more. Also deployed by the police are helicopters and drones for aerial surveillance in Abuja and its environs, as well as water cannons, armored personnel carriers. The statement further reveals that the police and other security operatives will be located along the routes to and from the inauguration grounds, while vehicular movements will be diverted along some routes in the Federal Capital Territory. Well, staying with the Federal Capital Territory, more measures are being taken by security operatives to ensure the seamless transition of power on May 29. This time, the FCT Police Command says it's raided some black spots in the capital, suspected to be hideouts for suspected criminals. The Police Commissioner, Mr. Haruna Garba, told Channels Television that many arrests have also been made by the command.
The Nigerian Police Force is mobilizing its operatives to provide a comprehensive security arrangement. Adequate personnel have been detailed to protect the following areas, including the presidential villa, security at and around the Eagle Square, to man all the Nigerian borders, seaports, and airports, while others will equally be deployed to man the entry and exit points of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, and other critical government installations. The Nigerian Police Force has also deployed all the serviceable helicopters and highly efficient drones for area surveillance to give support in Abuja and its environs. All Nigerian Police Force serviceable water cannons and armored personnel carriers will as well be deployed to man strategic places around the capital city. There will be fireworks show at about 12:01 hours on May 29th, Monday, 2023, at the city gates, Abuja. Nigerians are on this note advised not to panic due to the fireworks show. We therefore urge members of the public to cooperate with the police for a seamless transition of power.
That's the Forces Public Relations Officer Olumuyiwa Adejobi on the plans ahead. Over in Lagos, the State Police Command has also stepped up efforts to ensure security in the state and smooth inauguration ceremony. Speaking at a press briefing, the Police Public Relations Officer Benjamin Hundeyin explains that the command is ready to secure all activities leading up to the ceremony and will not tolerate any attempt to scuttle the proceedings.
For the inauguration, we are fully prepared. This is something we've been planning for quite some weeks now. The police officers that will be doing the parade at the inauguration have been doing their rehearsals. As at yesterday, they moved from Police College to Tafawa Balewa Square, which is the venue of the inauguration. And apart from the parade, the security aspects too, we've been working with our State Intelligence Bureau and our other operational and tactical units. So we can assure Lagosians that it's going to be a smooth event and there wouldn't be any hiccup. And we'll be relying heavily also on their cooperation by letting us know immediately they see something amiss.
Let's talk about plans ahead of the D-Day. Joining me now is Anthony Killer, Professor of Strategy and Development. He joins me virtually. Welcome to the program.
Good to be here.
Thank you. Now, despite the mixed sentiments, and this is, with regards to the court, inauguration is going ahead as planned. Another milestone in the democratic process. What would you say Nigeria is learning?
Well, I think, we're learning consistency. We're learning no more drama. I do hope we're going on a trajectory where elections means elections and court means court and people just get on. I hope by the next inauguration, the rest of the country will not be disturbed when one person or a few people are getting to office. Because, part of democracy is to have less drama and more action. We do not need to close our roads or stop people from going to work because some people are getting inaugurated into their office. But that said, it's a good thing that the Fourth Republic is going smoothly. This is the first experience of democracy we've had that has not been truncated in a long time. So that's where we are. And it's a good thing that the court process is rounding up. I and some people have advocated for the court process to finish clearly before the swearing in, so that whoever is sworn in, we know that's the final verdict. And, but there we are, as you rightly say, what are we learning? We're moving on gradually. That is what we're learning.
But the court still has quite a long way to go with the issues before it. But another thing as well is that, we are in the continent of Africa where there have been several coups in the region as well. And so this perhaps is another pointer to the democratic journey, what Nigeria is going through, yes? And these are some things that, African countries can also learn from us.
Well, actually, it's a good thing. And, those who know me know that I'm not a big fan of the outgoing President Buhari, but it must be said that this president has shown all signs that he's about to leave. Somehow, African leaders, they seem to be taken by, I don't know, maybe it's the air they breathe. They seem to suffer some kind of psychosis that make them want to stay in office, even when their tenure is over. It must be said that President Buhari has not suffered from that disease. He has suffered from some other things, but not that one, and he's willing to go home. So that's a good thing, that we can actually very easily, change from power to another person, and but this is a good thing that Buhari is doing, and we must recognize and praise him for it, and that nobody is tempted to stay put on their seat. That said, my prayer for Buhari is, as we welcome the new person, my prayer for Nigeria is that may we not miss Buhari.
even though we've been told by his aides that we will eventually miss him. But then talking about the new administration coming in May 29th, they've been said to be influential locally, internationally, and this is President-elect Bola Tinubu. What key projects or tasks do you expect, the administration to tackle first?
Well, let me be very clear about one thing. The 8th of Buhari that says we're going to miss him, we should consider that like a malediction and pray against it. Because normally, whatever you do in life, you want to be better. If we miss the past president, that means the new one is no good. So we should hope that the new one is better than the past one, because the new one will have learned from the past one. From the new administration, the work is really pretty much cut out for them. Number one is that a lot of things that were promised 8 years ago are still undone. We still have the plastic power. Unemployment is still high. The economy is still bad. More people are trying to leave the country than 8 years ago. So that is the area. I expect the incoming administration to work very seriously on security of land and lives and property. Unemployment is a big issue. We need big intervention in our education system to train manpower. And we need to focus on the economy to generate wealth and to create jobs and to be a competitive country. That is the area we're looking at.
What would be some of the red flags for you? And this is depending on, perhaps his cabinet selection.
Well, the cabinet selection, let us leave that to the golden solitude of those who are in charge of that. You don't really want to play that game, who goes in, who goes out. I would hope that this administration is outcome-led. To think of what you want to achieve, then think of who you think can best do it. And the people who are going to power, they know themselves very much. So my only advice is to the incoming president and those around him is to not to mix gratitude with competence, not to confuse loyalty with ability to do stuff. And the best thing is to try to put people in the right positions for them, where they can excel and where they can help build a legacy for the administration.
Some have said that since it's the same party that's going in, there are some ministers who have done very well. In fact, some are being referred to as the star boys of, those ministries and, are likely to come back again. Is this something that you expect, or do you see this happening?
Well, if the president-elect is listening to me, he won't put many of those people that were back there. Most of them were not very good at all. Once you take away the likes of Babatunde Fashola, you take away the likes of Rotimi Amechi, really, you can get rid of the rest. You can leave them, but they've not really performed. You talk about star boys, they've not done anything for stardom, most of them. You can easily get rid of them if it's based on competence. If you're basing it on hope or potentials, then maybe you can look at them. But based on what they've done in the past 8 years, it must be said that this administration, the outgoing administration, was not known for changing people. He kept most of the people there for about 7 years or so, although they did waste a lot of time before they nominated them. So we're looking at 6.5 years, 8 years. But most of the people there, they had enough time to show their true colors. And frankly speaking, I don't like what we saw. So really, maybe it's time to make space for new people.
We will be talking about this until that day. And of course, the days ahead when we see the body language of course, the administration. We'd like to thank you, Professor Anthony Killer is a Jean Monnet Professor of Strategy and Development. Thank you for joining me on the program.
Good to be here. Thank you very much.
And we are back in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back. Today, in line with transition activities in River State, the Governor, Nyesom Wike, commissioned the Police Tactical Operations Centre at Rumuprikam Obiakpo local government area. The honours was performed by the Inspector General Police, Usman Alkali Baba. Yesterday, however, the River State Governor announced the dissolution of the state's Executive Council, directing the commissioners, other council members to hand over to the highest civil servants in their ministries, agencies and departments. Governor Wike made the announcement at the valedictory Executive Council meeting which held at the Government House, Port Harcourt.
Somebody said there are 6. As an elected public officer, you know you are tenured. Today, you are sworn in as governor, you are sworn in as president, you are sworn in as chairman of council, or as a member of the legislature. You know when the tenure will come to an end, so you must prepare. Yes, it's emotional because of the interactions you have had to sit with colleagues, and that opportunity may no longer be there. The way you joke amongst yourself may not longer be there. But one thing is important in life that everybody must go home with to say. There was a time I was called to support, to work for River State. At that time, what happened? What were our contributions? Everybody is saying today, we have done well, we have done well. No one person did well. Everybody did well. The governor alone cannot, on his own, be in charge of everywhere.
Well, elsewhere, the newly appointed Caretaker Management Committee Chairman of Karasuwa local government area in Yobe State, Lawan Gana Karasuwa, has died less than 24 hours to the official swearing in on the 26th of May. A family source told Channels Television via telephone that the deceased died at the Federal Medical Center, Nguru, Yobe State, after he drove himself to the health facility to receive medication. The news of his death broke during the launching of the third phase of an empowerment program to vulnerable persons at the Government House Center in Damaturu. He was a member at Yobe State House of Assembly between 2003 and 2007, former acting state chairman of the People's Democratic Party before decamping to the All Progressives Congress. And President Muhammadu Buhari says the achievements recorded during the last 8 years of his administration is largely because of the harmonious working relationship the government had with the 9th National Assembly. He made this declaration at the official commissioning of the legislative block of the National Institute of Legislative and Democratic Studies in Abuja. President Buhari said that the 9th Assembly is one of the most productive in the nation's history.
This is a milestone in Nigeria's commitment to democracy and legislative excellence as the National Institute of Legislative and Democratic Studies, NILS, opens its permanent site. Located along the airport road in the Federal Capital Territory, the edifice is intended to improve the capacity of members of the parliament. President Muhammadu Buhari is accompanied by the leadership of the National Assembly as well as the Director General of NILS, Professor Abubakar Suleiman, for the commissioning of the facility. This facility is operational as the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari winds down while the 9th Assembly prepares to exit. The executive-legislature relationship comes into the mix at the inauguration of the NILS permanent site.
I have traversed all parts of Nigeria in the last few days, commissioning several critical national infrastructure that our administration has completed over the last 8 years. Our success as a government are primarily due to the harmonious relationship between the executive and the legislature. This 9th Assembly will be remembered as one of the most productive in terms of outputs and outcomes.
I cannot leave this place without emphasizing
what you have been able to achieve with us in the 9th National Assembly. Whatever the executive has been able to achieve, and you have achieved a lot, is because this 9th National Assembly has always been there to give you the kind of support that you need to achieve what you have achieved, what you have so far achieved.
About 70% of the incoming federal lawmakers are new to legislative proceedings, and dignitaries believe the facility will improve the capacity of the new federal lawmakers.
This is the first of several legislative projects slated for completion and commissioning to place the National Assembly at par with other parliaments from more advanced democracies.
Today, therefore, mark an opening chapter in the history of the Nigerian National Assembly, as its only statutory think tank institution now parade a convenient academic environment conducive for learning, training, and research in legislative and other democratic processes.
The management of the institute hopes this facility will serve as a hub for learning, collaboration, and the exchange of best practices, fostering a culture of legislative excellence in Nigeria.
To some other stories we are monitoring, the Court of Appeal Abuja fined a former presidential candidate, Chief Ambrose Oworo, 40 million naira for filing a frivolous suit seeking to stop the inauguration of President-elect Bola Tinubu on May the 29th. The court ordered him to pay the sum of 10 million naira each to President Muhammadu Buhari, the Attorney General of the Federation, the Independent National Electoral Commission, and Senator Bola Tinubu. Justice Jabil Tuka, who read the lead judgment of the three-man panel of the court, held that Mr. Oworo embarked on a gross abuse of court process by filing a frivolous suit to provoke the respondents. And with just a few days to the end of the president's tenure, President Buhari, the governor of Anambra State, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, is appealing for the release of detained leader of the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Governor Soludo, in a letter to President Buhari, states that Nnamdi Kanu is gravely ill with 3 life-threatening conditions of heart ailment, hypertension, as well as low potassium levels, all of which demand specialist medical care and interventions that are not available at the facility where he is being detained. In his words, the continued detention of Mazi Kanu has created a systemic insecurity in the southeast, as some of his supporters have imposed obnoxious, a harmful sit-at-home order every Monday in the southeast, while all manner of criminal gangs now masquerade as freedom fighters. Well, you've been served lunch this hour. Stay with Channels Television as we continue to bring you all-round coverage of news events around the globe. I'm Millicent Walker. Thank you for watching.